Continuous Discovery Habits by Teresa Torres. Picture this. It's the mid-2010s, and one of America's most trusted banks is about to implode in spectacular fashion. Wells Fargo, a household name, suddenly finds itself drowning in scandal. Employees had been quietly opening bank accounts, checking, savings, credit cards, in customers' names. Without asking, without telling anyone, just creating fake accounts out of thin air. At first, Wells Fargo pointed fingers at a handful of bad employees. But here's where it gets interesting. Investigators discovered this wasn't about a few bad apples. This was something far more sinister. It was the system itself that was rotten. For years, leadership had been obsessed with one metric. How many accounts does each customer have? That number became everything. Bonuses depended on it. Careers lived or died by it. And under that crushing pressure, ordinary people started doing extraordinary things, terrible things. The aftermath? Billions in fines, a reputation in tatters, and millions of customers who felt utterly betrayed. Now, you might think this is just a story about one bank's spectacular failure. But product creator Teresa Torres sees something deeper here, a cautionary tale about what she calls the dark side of focusing on outcomes. Here's the uncomfortable question that haunts this story. What happens when we become so fixated on hitting our numbers that we forget there are actual human beings on the other side? This question sits at the beating heart of continuous discovery habits. And listen, this isn't your typical dry business book about building better products. Think of it more as an escape plan, a way out of the exhausting cycle of building things nobody actually wants. A treasure map leading you to that sweet spot where what customers need and what your business needs actually meet. Teresa Torres isn't some academic writing from an ivory tower. She's been in the trenches, coaching hundreds of product teams around the world. And she wrote this book from a deeply personal place. She tells this story about leading a product team at a startup she genuinely loved. Great team, meaningful mission, the whole package. Then one day she just quit, walked out. Why? She was exhausted from fighting the same battles over and over, tired of arguing with executives who hadn't talked to a single customer in months, worn down from trying to convince people that actually listening to your customers might, just maybe, be a better strategy than obsessing over what your competitors are doing. That's when it hit her. Most companies don't build the wrong things because they're stupid or malicious. They do it because nobody's shown them a better way. This book, it's that better way. So here's what I'm offering you. Over the next half hour, we're going to unpack the simple but powerful habits that can completely transform how you think about creating anything of value. You'll learn not just the what, but the how. By the time we're done, you'll have this mental framework. Think of it as a navigational chart called an opportunity solution tree that the world's best creators use to discover what people truly need, often before those people even know it themselves. And here's the best part. This isn't just for product managers or software engineers. This is for anyone who wants to solve real problems for real people. Let's start with a simple idea that changes everything. For decades, the business world has been absolutely obsessed with outputs. We measure success by what we produce. How many features did we ship this quarter? Did we deliver the project on time, under budget? We create these massive roadmaps filled with things to build, and then we throw parties when we check items off the list. But here's the trap, and Teresa Torres doesn't mince words about this. It's what product leader Melissa Perry brilliantly named the build trap. We get so caught up in the act of building that we forget to ask the most important question. Did any of this actually matter? Did it make even one customer's life genuinely better? Did it move our business forward in any meaningful way? The alternative is focusing on outcomes. Now, an outcome isn't what you build. It's the change you create in the world. Author Josh Seiden nails the definition. An outcome is a change in human behavior that drives business results. Let that sink in for a moment. It's not about shipping a shiny new feature. It's about something like reducing the time it takes for a new user to feel that magical moment of success, or increasing the number of families who feel confident enough to book their dream vacation. These are real, measurable changes in how humans behave. But, and this is crucial, remember Wells Fargo? Chasing an outcome without genuine empathy for your customers can lead you down some dark paths. The secret, Torres argues, is finding that beautiful intersection where business needs and customer needs overlap. The legendary Peter Drucker said it perfectly. The goal of business is to, quote, convert society's needs into opportunities for a profitable business. It's not a war between two opposing sides. Serving your customers well is literally how you build a sustainable business. Sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do this in the real world? Let me tell you about Sonja. She's a young product manager at Tails.com, a company that delivers custom-made dog food. Her team got handed a crystal-clear business outcome: improve customer retention. They knew from their data that if a customer stuck around for the first 90 days, they'd likely stay for years. So their mission became improve 90-day retention. Simple enough, right? Wrong. They immediately hit a wall. Every time they tried something new, they had to wait 3 entire months to see if it worked. Their feedback loop was painfully, agonizingly slow. So they did something smart. They started actually talking to their customers, like, regularly, every week. And through those conversations, they uncovered gold. They discovered 2 main reasons people were canceling. First, some customers didn't really understand why custom-made dog food was worth the money. And second, this one's straightforward. Sometimes the dogs just didn't like the food. Suddenly, everything changed. They had something concrete to work with. They identified 2 product outcomes they believed would drive that bigger business outcome: increase the perceived value of their service, and increase the number of dogs who actually enjoyed eating the food. These were things they could measure almost immediately. They weren't just throwing spaghetti at the wall anymore. They were letting their customers guide them toward the answers. This journey, from a vague business goal to a clear, actionable, customer-centered mission, that's the heart of continuous discovery. But here's the thing about journeys. Without a map, you're just wandering around lost. That's why Torres created this central tool called the Opportunity Solution Tree. Imagine an actual tree for a moment. At the very top, you've got the trunk, the single, clear point where everything begins. That's your outcome, your North Star. For Sonja's team, it was improve customer retention. This represents your business need. Growing from that trunk are the main branches. These are your opportunities. And this, pay attention here, this is the most important part of the entire framework. An opportunity is a customer need, pain point, or desire. Notice Torres doesn't call these problems. Why? Because a problem implies something's broken. But sometimes you're not fixing what's broken, you're fulfilling a desire. Disneyland doesn't solve a problem. It creates joy. Ice cream doesn't fix anything. It gives you a moment of pure delight. Opportunities are the ways you can positively impact your customers' lives. For Sonja's team, the main branches were customers don't understand the value and dogs don't like the food. Now here's where it gets interesting. Each of those main branches can split into smaller branches, which can split into even smaller ones. Take a massive opportunity like, I can't find anything to watch on this streaming service. You can break that down into smaller, more specific opportunities. I'm out of episodes of my favorite show, or I can't figure out how to search for a specific title, or I have no idea if this movie is any good. See what just happened. You took this huge, intimidating challenge and broke it down into bite-sized, solvable pieces. Only after you've mapped out this entire landscape of opportunities do you get to the leaves of the tree. The leaves are your solutions, your ideas, your features, the actual things you might build. A solution for I don't know if this movie is any good could be star ratings, reviews from friends, or a preview trailer. And finally, beneath each solution, you've got these tiny roots anchoring everything to reality, the assumption tests. These are small, fast experiments you run to see if your solution will actually address the opportunity and drive your outcome. This simple visual map does something revolutionary. It forces you to connect every single idea, every feature you want to build, directly back to a specific customer need, which connects directly back to a business outcome. It makes it virtually impossible to get lost building features that don't actually matter. It creates this shared understanding across your whole team. Everyone can see the map. They can see the path you're taking and understand exactly why you're taking it. So you've got this powerful map, but how do you actually build it? How do you find those opportunities and fill your tree with branches? This is where the actual habits come in. The first and most foundational habit is continuous interviewing. Now, I know what you're thinking. Didn't Steve Jobs famously dismiss market research? He did. He loved quoting Henry Ford. If I'd asked customers what they wanted, they would have told me, a faster horse. And you know what? He was absolutely right. People often have no clue what they want, especially when it comes to technology that doesn't exist yet. That's exactly why we never, ever ask customers, what should we build? So why interview them at all? We interview to uncover opportunities, the needs, pain points, and desires hidden in their daily lives. But here's the trick. You can't just ask people direct questions about their behavior, because, and I hate to break this to you, we humans are terrible at understanding ourselves. Torres tells this wonderful story from one of her workshops. She asked a woman what was most important when buying new jeans. The woman answered immediately, confidently. Fit is my #1 factor. Crystal clear, right? Then Torres asked a different question. Tell me about the last time you actually bought jeans. The woman said, I bought them on Amazon. Torres gently probed. How did you know they would fit? The woman paused. I didn't, actually. But they were a brand I liked, and they were on sale. Do you see what just happened? In her mind, in her story about herself, this woman prioritizes fit above everything. But her actual behavior? Driven by brand loyalty, convenience, and price. Our brains are these incredible storytelling machines. Neuropsychologists have discovered we have this thing called a left brain interpreter that creates coherent, rational-sounding explanations for our behavior, even when those explanations are completely made up. We're literally wired to give confident answers, whether they're true or not. The secret to a good interview is avoiding questions that ask people to generalize or predict. Instead, you ask for specific stories from their recent past. Don't ask, how often do you go to the gym? Ask, tell me about the last time you went to the gym. What happened? Don't ask, what do you look for in a streaming service? Ask, tell me about last night when you were trying to find something to watch. Walk me through it. Stories are packed with context, emotion, and detail. They reveal the clever workarounds people have invented, the frustrations they've just accepted as normal life, and the desires they can't quite put into words. These are the raw materials for building your opportunity solution tree. To make sense of all these stories, Torres recommends this simple tool called the interview snapshot. It's literally a one-page summary of each conversation. Include a photo of the person, a memorable quote, some quick facts, and 2 crucial columns, insights and opportunities. After every interview, your team comes together to fill this out. It transforms a messy, hour-long conversation into structured, actionable knowledge. And here's the key. You do this every single week. Like a heartbeat, a regular, continuous rhythm of talking to customers. It's not some big research project you do once a quarter when someone remembers. It's a small, sustainable habit that keeps your team grounded in the reality of your customers' actual lives. Once you start collecting these opportunities, you need to give them structure. This leads to the next habit, mapping what you know. Your opportunity solution tree can't just be a chaotic collection of sticky notes. It needs logical structure. The best way to create this is organizing opportunities around the key moments in your customer's experience. You create what's called an experience map, basically a simple visual drawing of the steps your customer goes through to achieve their goal. For our streaming service example, the high-level moments might be deciding to watch something, choosing what to watch, the actual viewing experience, and what happens after the show ends. These moments become your main branches. Now, when you hear an opportunity in an interview like, "I want to skip the show's intro," you know exactly where it belongs, under the viewing experience branch. This creates a clean, organized map where every opportunity has its natural place. It prevents you from drowning in a flat, confusing backlog of hundreds of competing customer requests. So now your tree is starting to fill up. It's rich with branches and sub-branches. But here's the problem. You can't climb all of them at once. You have to choose where to focus. This brings us to the habit of prioritizing opportunities, not solutions. This is one of the most powerful mindset shifts in the entire book. Most teams spend endless hours arguing about which features to build. Should we build the new dashboard or the social sharing feature? This entire conversation is happening in solution space, and it's usually based on whoever has the strongest opinion or the loudest voice. A truly strategic team doesn't prioritize features. They prioritize opportunities. They ask, which customer need, if we solve it well, will have the biggest impact on our desired outcome? The tree structure makes this so much easier. You don't have to assess every single opportunity on your tree. That would be overwhelming. You start at the top. Look at your main branches and ask as a team, which of these big areas is most important for us to tackle right now? You use a mix of data and strategic judgment to pick one branch. Once you've chosen that main branch, you can actually ignore the rest of the tree for now. You've just dramatically narrowed your focus. Then you simply repeat the process. Look at the sub-branches of your chosen branch and prioritize among those. Keep working your way down the tree until you land on a single leaf node, a small, specific, and actually solvable opportunity. This is your target. This is where you're going to focus all your creative energy. And now, finally, after all this work to understand the landscape, we get to talk about ideas. This is the habit of supercharged ideation. Our brains love to jump to the first solution that pops into our heads. It feels efficient. But creativity research tells us something fascinating. Our first idea is rarely our best. The research is crystal clear. The single best predictor of finding a great idea is generating lots of ideas. The more ideas you create, the more likely you are to stumble upon something truly innovative. But traditional group brainstorming? Famously ineffective. When you put a group of people in a room and ask them to shout out ideas, chaos ensues. Some people are shy and stay quiet. Some people dominate the conversation. You get what researchers call production blocking. You have a brilliant idea, but while you're waiting for someone else to finish talking, you completely forget it. The research points to a much better approach. Combine the power of individual thought with the benefit of group collaboration. The process is beautifully simple. First, everyone generates ideas alone. No talking, just you, the target opportunity, and a blank sheet of paper. This allows everyone, even the quietest team members, to contribute their best thinking without interruption. Then you come together as a team to share ideas and cluster similar ones. This is where the magic happens. Hearing other people's ideas sparks completely new connections in your own mind. Finally, you evaluate ideas as a group. A simple technique like dot voting, where everyone gets a few votes to place on their favorite ideas, helps the best concepts rise to the top without endless debate. The goal is to walk away with your top 3 solutions for your target opportunity, not 1, 3. This forces you to compare and contrast, to avoid falling madly in love with your first idea. So now you have a target opportunity and 3 promising solutions. The old way of doing things would be to pick the best one and spend the next 3 months building it. But that's slow, risky, and expensive. The new way is the final core habit: testing assumptions, not ideas. Every idea, no matter how brilliant it seems in your head, is built on a foundation of hidden assumptions. We assume people want it, desirability. We assume we can actually build it feasibility. We assume it will work for our business viability. When products fail spectacularly, it's almost always because one of these core assumptions was wrong. Think about this story. Portland, Oregon invested millions to build affordable condominiums to help displaced families return to their neighborhood. Noble goal, right? The project was a disaster. Why? The developer built primarily 1- and 2-bedroom units, assuming that's what families needed. But most of the displaced families had 4 or more members. They needed bigger homes. A single untested assumption sank the entire project and wasted millions of dollars. Your job isn't to test whole ideas. It's to find the riskiest assumption, the one that, if it's wrong, will cause your entire idea to fail, and test that as quickly and cheaply as humanly possible. How do you find these hidden assumptions? One powerful technique is to story map your idea. Map out every single step a customer would have to take to get value from your solution. Each step is loaded with assumptions. For a streaming service wanting to offer live sports, you're assuming subscribers want to watch sports on your platform. They'll somehow know it's available, they can find it easily, and your company can legally and technically stream content from local providers. Once you've listed all your assumptions, plot them on a simple grid called an assumption map. One axis is how important the assumption is to success. The other is how much evidence you already have. The assumptions that are critically important and where you have almost no evidence. Those are your leaps of faith. These are the ones you must test first. And your tests should be small, fast simulations of an experience. You're not building the whole feature. You're creating just enough of a prototype to get a real signal of customer behavior. This could be a simple mock-up, a one-question survey, or a landing page. The goal is getting data in hours or days, not months. This entire process isn't a straight line. It's a series of loops and cycles. You'll test an assumption and learn something that completely changes your understanding of the opportunity. This might send you back to do more interviews. You might discover an opportunity as a dead end, like the team at Simply Business who learned that while late client payments were a real pain point, it wasn't something their customers wanted them to solve. Killing that idea after just 1 week of discovery saved them months of wasted effort. That was a massive win. This is the essence of continuous discovery. It's a set of habits that, when practiced together, create a constant flow of learning. It's the engine that powers your opportunity solution tree, helping you navigate the complex, messy world of creating value, 1 week at a time. When you step back and look at the landscape of ideas and continuous discovery habits, you realize this book is offering something more profound than just a process. It's offering a philosophy, a kinder, more intelligent, and ultimately more effective way to approach the act of creation. The most powerful lesson for me is this shift from a world of certainty to a world of curiosity. The old way of building products was rooted in this belief that we, the creators, had all the answers. Our job was to have a brilliant vision, write a detailed plan, and then execute that plan flawlessly. It was a model based entirely on being right. Teresa Torres invites us into something completely different, a model based on the humility of not knowing. She encourages us to see our ideas not as precious truths to be defended to the death, but as hypotheses to be questioned and tested. The goal isn't proving our idea is right. The goal is finding out if it's right, as quickly as possible, and if it's not, celebrate that learning, and move on. Carl Weick's quote in the book captures it perfectly. Wisdom is finding an ongoing balance between knowing and doubt. The opportunity solution tree is a beautiful visualization of that balance. It's a structure for organizing what we know, but it's filled with questions that honor what we don't. In today's world, where technology allows pretty much anyone to build almost anything, the fundamental advantage isn't in the building anymore. It's in the discovering. The companies that win will be the ones best at learning, the ones closest to their customers, the ones that can navigate the fog of uncertainty with skill and grace. This book is the compass for that journey. So how can you start putting these powerful ideas into practice right now, even if your organization doesn't work this way? First, build your trio. You don't need official permission to start collaborating differently. Find one designer and one engineer who are as curious as you are. Grab coffee with them. Share an interview snapshot. Ask for their perspective. The product trio isn't a reporting structure. It's a way of thinking together. Start small. Second, conduct one interview this week. Don't worry about setting up some elaborate automated recruiting process or getting budget approval. Just find one person. A friend who uses your product. A family member who fits your target audience. A past customer you had a good relationship with. Ask them to tell you a story about the last time they tried to accomplish the goal your product is meant to help with. Then just listen. The simple act of truly listening to a customer's story can be revolutionary in many companies. And third, start talking about outcomes instead of outputs. The next time someone asks you to build a feature, gently ask, "That's an interesting idea. If we build that, what change in our customers' behavior are we hoping to see? How would we know if it was successful?" You don't have to challenge them aggressively. Just start planting the seeds of a new conversation. Shift the focus from the what to the why. That was a summary of Continuous Discovery Habits by Teresa Torres. We've journeyed through the core ideas today, but I'll be honest with you. A summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful national park. You can see the layout, the trails, the landmarks, but you can't feel the sun on your face or hear the sound of the river rushing by. The real magic happens when you step into the park yourself. If anything we've discussed has sparked something in your mind, I genuinely encourage you to grab a copy of the book. Reading it isn't just about learning a new set of skills. It's an experience that can fundamentally change how you see your work and the value you create in the world. The link to the book is in the description. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. That way, you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's continue to learn and grow together.